Yes, we are live. So, hello everyone. I am Rahul Khinchi and I welcome you all to the episode 11 of our Open Source Cafe. And today we have Pooja Patel with us. She is a UX designer, front-end developer, a part of Google Summer of Code, and a maintainer at the Gnome Foundation. And Pooja, thank you for joining this podcast. And I'm sure that this evening will be very beneficial for students who are interested in contributing to open source and not just coding but designing too. So, Pooja, would you like to tell a little bit more about yourself?
Uh, Thank you for inviting me, Rahul. That was a great introduction. And firstly, I would like to rather say congratulations to you guys that it's a great initiative by you guys at the Decode Cafe, like bringing in the people and people sharing their open source journey. It's really beneficial for the newcomers, I would say. So about me. Um, I have actually recently completed my undergrad degree from Thadumal Shahani Engineering College. I'm a UX designer as well as a front end developer. So I really believe that functionality and design has a great impact, not just on screens but on our lives as well. Apart from that, I have been in my college throughout my college journey. I have been part of various clubs and committees where I have been a design lead as well as I have guided the juniors. I have also redesigned my college app. So based on these contributions, I have won two leadership awards. Currently, I'm really sort of happy and inclined that we'll be starting with our coding journey, coding period, GSO coding period from Monday. So that's great. About my organization. So yeah. So about my organization, that is Gnome. So my project is actually the name of the project is Gnome CSS HIC library. So basically, the project is like we are creating a library for the developers. Like right now, Gnome has numerous websites across all its platforms. Like as we know that Gnome is a huge foundation and it actually performs various operations, right? So and it has an interface, but right now the interface is somewhere the elements and the components are not visually consistent, and there are usability problems as well. So the goal of this project is to sort of create a library designing the elements and the components, which will maintain this congruent visual identity. So that is the goal of the project, where I'll be designing, developing, as well as testing all these elements. Yeah.
Right. So that was a great introduction about your organization and yourself. So moving to the next thing that how did you hear about from where did you hear about Google Summer of Code and like what open source means to you? Like everyone has their own definition of open source. What open source means to you?
Right. So I have quite a story, I would say. Back then, actually, I didn't know a lot about open source. So in my second year, I would say, I just knew that there is open source, and I mainly knew that only developers can somewhere contribute in open source. I was more actually inclined to make a substantial contribution for the design thing. So I was not at all aware about it. But few of my peers actually sort of told me about this open source, that you can designers can also contribute to it with some little knowledge of development, because yes, you need to know Git and all a little bit to contribute. So that is how I got to know about it. Further, I thought like GSOC would be a great start for me to just know the organization, start with the community thing, and talk with the mentors and all. So I just went on the Google the GSOC page, and I just searched for the organization. Like they have a good search page where you can actually put in the keywords, like in whatever. Suppose you want to work in Python, then you can just search the keyword, right? Like I want to work on a Python project. So similarly, that's what I did. That I wanted to work for a design thing. So I searched the keyword as design, and I could found many organizations in that. So one of them was Gnome. There were others as well, Zulip, Fedora, and all of that. And then I just started contributing to all of these, a few of these organizations. So my first were like, obviously their code base is very huge and all. It's difficult to understand. So I started with like understanding firstly, like what is the project, like what are the projects in the Gnome organization, the Zulip organization, and started and I started just joining their channels, that I guess IRC channel, the Element channel, where you can talk with the community and all. So I did that. Afterwards, I got to know about various projects, and then I just started with a small issue in Zulip as well as in Tailwind, in Gnome, because those were the projects that really I got really interested in it. And further, I literally contributed. Further, my open source journey was more to in Gnome only, because I really enjoyed in the project that they were working in. And yeah, that was how I started with my open source journey in design. And yeah.
Right. So, like, could you please share your journey so far as a student and maintainer at Gnome Foundation? Like, from the starting, from the scratch, like, how did you started, and like, what was your process, step by step process?
Okay, so like I said, I searched for the organization like that, and it same goes for the developers as well. It's same for the designers as well. Like, this is how we actually search for the organization and start with our contribution. So this was my first step. I just knew that I want to do a design contribution, and I basically, my first thing was that I went through all the issues, and I actually started with one issue, which was in Gnome. So I actually created one issue instead of solving an existing issue, because the issue I could really see, it was very visible to me, and I thought that one should really work on this issue. So in Gnome, so I created one issue instead of yeah. So that was in Gnome, and so as a maintainer, I would say I became a maintainer, I guess, last year, where the mentors thought that I could give a substantial contribution to this project. So they further made me the maintainer. So as a maintainer, my job is to actually understand the goal of the project, as well as involve other people, make them understand what are the end goals of our project, and stick to it. And yeah, that is what it is. Okay.
Right. So, like, Pooja, most students believe that like the Google Summer of Code is totally about coding thing, and like as a beginner, we don't know that yes, it has many fields like that. We just do one thing, that we search for JavaScript, Python, and things like that. But we don't really know that yes, we have things like designing and other contribution types. So, like, you contributed to both designing and coding thing, right? And I'm curious to know that how did you shortlisted the designing, and like, could you please demonstrate like your first contribution, like how did you started, like what documentation you took, and like about the interface of Gnome Foundation organization. If you can share your screen and show that.
Yeah, yeah, I'll just share my screen. Okay, is my screen visible? Hello.
Yes, now it is visible.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So basically, this was actually the first issue that I created. So I would suggest for a newcomer, I wouldn't suggest that you directly start with an issue, creation of issue. You can start with small issues that are already there in the project, and start, understanding that and contributing to that. That will be an easy way to do it. Here I actually really got it. I really found this issue, so I thought, let me just create one. This is not the way one should go ahead if you are a newcomer, but definitely if you know that you are going in the right track, then you can definitely go ahead with it. So here, the issue that you can see the screen, right?
Yes, I
Hello.
can see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So as we can see, I actually this was the first issue that I created, and here this is the issues. So as you can see, the check boxes, there are some design inconsistency that can be seen in this text boxes. So like when I click on this, you can see a black line. Here you can see some blue halo. Here again you can see a black line. Even toggles which has a black border around it. and the major inconsistency which I saw was the input, invalid input. So when I click on in that, it should actually be red, right? In the forms as well, it should be red instead of blue or those colors. These are accessibility things that one needs to follow so that it is easily understandable by the people. But here, these were some of the issues which I found. So I thought, let me just create an issue for this. And yeah, so I explained, I did an extensive research on whatever I am showing here, backed up with some research. Yeah, so these were the designs that I created, like how it will look. And further, I'll just show my merge request as well. uh, just a minute. So yeah, this was the issue created. So actually, I'll just show you the also these were the this is the 19th merge request that it got merged. These were the comments by the maintainers where they liked my research that I did, and how I evaluated the design based on the consistency parameters and the accessibility thing. So based on these things, my issue was merged. So this was the first issue that I created. Then further, I also upgraded. So basically, Gnome, for this project, we are using Tailwind CSS. So here, this was my another merge request where I am upgrading the Tailwind CSS to a version 2. So this was sort of a small merge request only. So ideally, a person can do small contributions like that if they're a newcomer and if they want to start with the contribution. So as you can see, I have just done some little changes only, not many. Uh, yeah. So this was one of them. Yeah, this was another that changing from vanilla CSS to Tailwind PCSS. So actually, Tailwind basically they have sort of a classes, like they have already have a predefined classes which you can use. So supposing you do not have to write such big code, you can just they already have a predefined classes, so you can just write apply background gnome. You can also define, like that already predefine the design system, like suppose every organization follows a design system. Similarly, Gnome also has, so they have already defined that, and you can just apply. So it is just you're writing less code. Here you have to write a lot of code, so this was an update. So yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so these were the issues
So
that this is how I started.
right. So, Pooja, can you tell that what are the tech stack that GNOME uses? Like as a beginner, what we believe is if you are searching for Java, then we think that
Mhm.
yes, this organization will only use Java. But then with time,
Mhm.
we got to know that yes, it is using CI/CD, it is using DevOps, it is using JavaScript also. So, like, what are the different tech stack a student can work on in the GNOME organization?
So well, for my project, I am just working with basic front end tech stack. So we are actually using Tailwind CSS and HTML. So here, even I actually, when I started with it, I was not aware about what is Tailwind CSS. I knew front end tech stack definitely, but I wasn't aware about Tailwind CSS. But that is how the beauty of open source is, that you will learn while you are contributing. And in open source, actually you can learn so many new things. Newcomers especially, they can learn a lot of things, a new language, and they can actually work on the projects that you can actually view on your screens. And they're real time projects, right? They're, which you can see. So yeah, for my project though, we are just using Tailwind CSS and HTML. Those are the basic ones which we are using.
Right. Like if I share my experience, I started Java. I started with Java, but then I like started contributing to open source in the Chexel organization, and I ended up with a DevOps project. So like we never know
Okay.
what we will be going through in the open source because it has many different tech stacks. So you have to learn by when you select an issue. So every different issue have the different tech stack. So we never know that what we have to learn, but we should have a right mindset that yes, if a new tool is being introduced, then we have to learn those tools,
Right,
right?
right.
So that
Very
was it.
important.
Yes. So like, can you tell me that why is it important to contribute to open source? Like, why students are contributing to open source, and why it is required to like contribute to open source as a beginner or as a student or anyone, any professional? Why is it important to contribute to open source?
Uh, Contributing to open source is really beneficial, I would say, especially someone who is just starting in their any design or technical field. It actually helps you to explore new languages and explore new projects actually, because here you're not restricted that you need to just use this language or some other language. Here you can explore new languages. As a beginner, we actually want to explore new languages. We want to know that which language we are more comfortable with, uh, understanding new languages and learning as well. So community actually helps us, in open source community is a huge community, right? So they actually help us to understand as well, like what these projects, which languages are they using, and how can this language be beneficial, what are its, there are obviously perks and cons of using a language. For different projects we use different languages, so they can definitely help you understand and you can explore new languages. I mean, that's the most important beauty about open source. uh, so yeah, who is confused about whether they want to go with front end or back end or some other thing, they can explore, they can learn, they can work on real projects here. So I feel like open source is really beneficial in that way, and obviously whatever you have learned you can also give back to a community in a way. One should, right? So this is also learning plus giving back to the community, which I feel it's a great experience one can have.
Right. So Pooja, you told that you are a student and maintainer at the same time. So does it happen with you that you are like you created a pull request and you are only reviewing it as a maintainer and you are also only doing it as a student, like
uh,
doing both the things at the same thing. Yes.
uh, yeah, that happens, but even you obviously discuss everything with your mentor before anything you do. So yeah, that happens, I guess. That sort of advantage you have as a maintainer, that you can create and merge it on your own only. You do not need a owner or maintainer to help you merge the request and all of that. So maybe based on my work, actually my mentor thought that I can do it on my own. So he actually, my mentor Claudio and Caroline, they both are like, one is for the design and one is for the development. So that is why they assigned me, and I feel it's good actually. I learned also how to manage things as a maintainer, and yeah, it's a good experience, I would say.
Like, yes, if you are a maintainer, then you have to like take the responsibility and check the things twice so that nothing happens wrong. So yes,
Happens
it
wrong,
is.
right?
Yes. So like,
Yeah, that is one thing. But
yes,
yeah, it's a learning process at the end, and
right.
also yeah, I have to check that is there.
So talking about the Gnome Foundation, if a student is contributing to design only and not the coding contribution, so like what are the chances of that person to get selected into the Google Source of Code?
Okay. I would say that a little bit of coding will be required for a designer as well. Obviously, for getting selected or just contributing to open source, you do not require a lot of things. You just need a laptop, you need your internet connection, GitHub, Git basics you should know, and just your willingness. I feel that is the most important thing. Uh, to start. So design students, they can definitely contribute, but yeah, little knowledge about technology and little knowledge about CSS or HTML will really help them, because here you also need to somewhere collaborate with developers as well, right? Because GSOC, if we just talk about GSOC, then there is no just a design project. It comes along with development as well. So one needs to know some technologies as well, some tech stack as well. Uh, just knowing the design won't help, but no, if it is a design project, then the more amount of work will be design oriented only. More work you'll be doing design, and less will be development. development won't be a lot. But yes, you should know some of the things, and obviously Git and all, it is needed. But it is not really scary part, I would say. One can definitely learn. Yeah, but just in I'm talking about GSOC only, because GSOC requires development as well. Well, there are other open source communities as well, where you really do not need to code and all. You can contribute just as a designer, where you are, solving some accessibility issues or usability issues, or you're documenting whatever issues are there, or you're just having a conversation in the community also makes a great impact. That whatever based on your research, you are somewhere giving your contributions as a designer. Yeah, for other organizations or other normal open source, you do not really require technical knowledge. You can do graphic related or graphics related or any other related contribution as well. Just GSOC or MLH or all these programs that are there, they require a little bit of coding knowledge as well.
So like not only GSOC, but we have many other programs too. So students should
Yeah,
not look for only one program. They should
right.
start contributing to open source, and with time they should like find about these opportunities and start applying to it. Yes. So
Yes.
you told about Git and GitHub, that student only needs a laptop, internet connection, and Git and GitHub. So like, what are the other things? What is the like minimum tech stack or requirement of a student to learn so that they can start contributing to open source? Like the minimum requirement to like contribute to open source. Like personally talking about the Chrome Foundation.
Okay. So, like, there are different projects in the Gnome. There are many projects that you can contribute to. There are some design, some there are totally development and technical oriented. So, based on, I feel it's completely on you. With whatever you know beforehand, that is really going to help you contribute better. But even if you do not know anything, it's completely fine, I feel. Just You need to just have that passionate about like what is the project and the willingness to learn. Maybe some people will be able to crack GSOC in like few days. Like if you do not know the languages, then some people will take a year to crack GSOC, right? And personally, I would say that GSOC is not the only thing. The main purpose of open source should be to contribute, give back to the community, and learn. That should be the purpose. And yeah, so basic, I would say, like just know HTML, CSS. That will help just to start with at least front end projects or something like that. If you know backend technologies, then that is also fine. Python, any one language is just fine. Any one language, and just knowing it, that is just fine. You can just get started. Other things can be figured out along the way.
Right. So it really depends on person to person that
Yeah.
what like how much knowledge they required, because yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a girl, Shazma Siddiqui, who came to our podcast. She started contributing to open source from 10th April. She
Okay.
proposed like she created a proposal on 19th April. Like 19th April was the last day to like submit your proposal. So she just
Oh,
contributed
right,
for
right.
9 days, and she got selected for
Oh,
large project. So like it really depends that it doesn't depend that how much time you are giving, but uh, like if you are giving less time, but you should do quality contributions to like get
right.
selected into the Google Summer of Code, and you should also have some knowledge about things. Like you should know something about everything, and like not 100% about any tech stack, but you should know at least 70 to 80% so that you
Right.
can start contributing to open source.
Right.
So
Yeah. So like
yeah,
she might be knowing some
yes,
technologies and tech stack already, so she could do it in less time period. But
yes,
someone who is not aware, they can also learn while they are doing
right.
it.
It is not
They
same for
might take,
everyone. Yes,
yeah, they might take a little more time, but it's okay, I feel.
like
I
I
guess
studied
we
after
have enough
Hacktoberfest.
time for the GSOC. Like organizations are announced 2 months back, so
Right.
people have like 2 months to if they even want to learn and contribute, they have sufficient time. I feel to do
But
everything.
I believe the best time would be starting today only, because like
Yeah.
the more before you start, great, the more chances you have to get selected. Like I started
Yeah.
contributing to textile from the Hacktoberfest thing. Like in India,
Mm-hmm.
it generally happens that Oktoberfest thing is something which from where a student generally starts open source. So yes, I
Mm-hmm.
started from that only. But after that, I like became a regular contributor to textile, and with time, I made that confidence to the mentors, right?
Right,
So
right.
when we start contributing to open source,
Mm-hmm.
if we are creating a pull request, what generally happens is the mentors or maintainers don't really look into our PR. Like they don't know about us. We are like coming to the organization for the first time, and we have more people contributing to open source. Like there are hundreds of thousands of people contributing to open source, right? So there may be less mentors who are reviewing the pull request. So as a beginner, I might sometimes get frustrated because I'm not getting the I'm not getting reviewed. My PR is not getting reviewed at the time, and it happens that sometimes they will review after 3 days, 4 days, or after a week. So, like, what are your best practices to communicate with your mentors and community? Because I believe that not just coding and designing thing, but collaboration and communication skills are way much required to like be in that open source organization. So, what are your best practices? Like, how did you started communicating with your organization, and how did you took help from them?
Right. Uh, so, uh, so there are two approaches. I would say that first approach that maybe you solve one issue, and after solving, then you start with the sort of uh, communicating with the mentors and with the community. Uh, the first approach is that every organization, to be honest, they have a newcomers sort of channel where everyone can introduce themselves and they can just talk about their skills, that whatever they know, and everyone introduce themselves. So definitely we can start a conversation like that. Yes, the thing that you said, that sometimes you do not get replies, and that could be one issue. But if we think about it in a broader perspective, then our maintainers, it is not like their full-time job, right? Like this open source thing, they also work on some other things, and it is important that we respect their time as well. So they we can remind them. We can I used to, if something happens, like my issue is not reviewed, or my whatever I have communicated is not being replied, then I just put a follow-up message, like, could you please just review this thing, and I guess I get a reply within 1 or 2 days. So we just need to respect that time as well, that I would say, like, not get too impatient and just give them enough time as well to review everything. Yeah, that is what I would say. So yeah, I didn't really face a lot of problems, but even in this regard, but if you guys face a problem in this, then I would say just be patient, and just maybe you can just send a reminder message, and I feel that will sort the issue.
Right. So like when I was contributing, like when I started contributing to Chexel, what mistake I was doing is, I was like, if I'm getting stuck, what I was doing, I was not googling things. I was just like chatting with my mentor. I'm telling that I'm facing this issue. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I get frustrated because he's not replying. But then I understood that these are something which we can Google it and find answers. So I believe that first we have to try, first we have to investigate things which we can find on Google. Find on Google. We should not ask our mentors. First, we should investigate, and if you can't find a way to resolve that issue, then you should talk with your mentor. That I'm
Yeah.
facing this issue and I'm not getting help from Google, and I investigated, but I'm not finding a right way to resolve this issue.
No,
So
that is really important
yeah.
actually, to not just put your question directly on the channel. First, one should definitely do a thorough research, because there are so many contributors every day contributing to so many organizations, and to handle each and every person's query, and even the smallest questions, like, it is difficult for them as well, right? So one should research first, do a thorough research, and based on that research, they should ask questions in the community. That will, I feel, that will also sort of create mentors will also feel that, yeah, this person is genuinely interested, and they're not asking silly questions, they're actually doing some research on it, because that also shows that you want to contribute really on this project, and you're really interested, and you're not just asking questions just like that, everything to the mentor, but you're doing some solid research beforehand.
Right. So, like you told that many students are contributing to open source. So, like, how did you create that confidence in the mentors that yes, you are the right student to get selected for this project in the Google Summer of Code? Like, how did you
Uh,
stand out from different
hmm.
different open source contributors in your
Right,
organization?
right. Okay, so firstly, I have been contributing to open source since a year now, and even to Gnome, I have been contributing since a year now. So I already know the mentors who are working, who are sort of my mentors who are for this particular project and for other projects as well. So I was well aware with them, and I kept on contributing like for a year. And in between, I was definitely inconsistent. But to stand out from the crowd, I feel not. You can definitely do small contributions, but those any contribution that do you, it should be substantial. So it should not be like, yeah, you did 20 contributions, but they're like you're just changing one or two lines of code. So that is like very small contributions, and maybe that it is a contribution, but like it's very small if you compare with other people. So I feel you do not need to do a lot of merge requests. You can just do few of them as well. 3 4 merge requests are also fine, but they should be somewhere uh, it should be substantial. It should create an impact. That's all I feel. You do not really need to do that. That's how you can maybe stand out as well. uh, yeah, that would be my approach, and that was my approach, that doing some substantial contribution instead of just doing small issues also you can do, but make sure that you do one or two good contributions as well.
Like I can totally relate with you, and I believe that I'm a person who did all these mistakes what you are telling, because what I did was I was like we have like in our organization to get selected for GSOC thing, we have to like resolve issues with label GSOC first issue, second issue, third issue, then easy, medium, hard, and then any bug or any like particular like tool or DevOps thing, right? So what I did was when I started contributing, I did 10 GSOC first issues because I was not knowing that yes, we have to solve GSOC second or third issues too. I did
Right, right.
GSOC 10 issues, and then I chat with my mentor that yes, I'm preparing for Google Summer of Code thing. Then he told me that then you should focus on second, third, and these issues too, because you are only doing first issue, so it is
Right.
not required to do 10 issues. If you have done
Mhm.
two issues, then you should move forward with the second issue. So yes, that is
Right.
a good practice that you should first read about the Wikipedia, and you should also connect with previous GSOC contributors, so you can understand that what are the some good practices and how we should like take the issues. We should like not focus on easy issues, but we should like focus on the quality issues. We should like move a step forward with quality issues and hard issues. Not only easy issues will help us to get into CSOC, but we have to like investigate a lot to like resolve these issues. So like
Yeah.
yes,
So yeah, that is there. Even before creating an issue or anything that you do in the code base, one should definitely communicate that what are you doing. So even the issue that I created, I first communicated with my mentors that this is the problem that I have found, and this is how I want to create an issue and maybe contribute to this issue furthermore. So they understood. I had done some research as well based on that. So they understood that this is an issue, and they allowed me to further create an issue. So one should not just directly create an issue, or just there should be some research as well, and talk to the mentors before you take decisions and all.
right. So, like in textile organization, one can only take the issue which has an approved label. Like what we do is mentors what do that if someone is creating the issue, we can't work on that until the mentor has the approved label on it. So, like, what
Okay.
are is it in the Gnome Foundation too? Like, one can work on any issue, or one can work only on that issue, like a particular label is there or not, something like that.
You can work on any issue, but in case someone is assigned a particular issue, then that person is working on that issue, then you cannot work on that issue. But in case that person is like not working anymore, like it has been like a month or something, and that person has not further contributed to that issue, then you can definitely, sort of write in the chat section that are you going to further contribute to this issue. If not, then you can start contributing to that issue. So you can contribute unless if someone is actively working on an issue, and if that person is assigned an issue, then you cannot work on that issue. You can definitely suggest some ideas that you have, but working will be definitely to the assignee. So
Right.
that is how it
So,
works in Gnome as well. It's same.
okay. Right. So talking about the project thing, students often get confused about the project, that what are these projects about and where are they coming from. So like, would you like to give some insights about your project, and like how did the projects come to an organization, and who selects this project? Like, do
Mhm.
if I'm interested in some project, do mentor will assign me some project, or I have to like take the project and like then create a proposal?
Okay. Like mentor won't assign you a project. That is your somewhere you have to research in which project you are interested. So GSOC or Google Summer of Code, they definitely list all the organizations on their website, and with a detail, and every organization they also have their idea list of project, where you can understand that what exactly they are gonna, what is the basic description about the project, what are they gonna work on, what are the tech stack they want you to use for that project. So everything is mentioned. Nobody is going to assign you. It's totally up to you that in what project you want to contribute. They do not restrict you that, yeah, this project only you can work on, or the mentors are going to assign you based on your skills and all. No, no, that's not absolutely. It completely on you that you are interested in this project. It really excites you, and everything. Then you can just go for it. You can just contribute to that project.
Uh, could you please tell us more about your project, like what you will do in this coding period, like like about your project, that how will you get started? Like, will you get help from your mentors, or you only have to do this whole project by yourself?
Uh, I'll be contributing more, obviously, because since I have been selected for this project, we all have a deadline to follow, and sort of complete the project in that deadline. But any doubts, obviously, mentors are there to help us. Uh, so it is not like complete. Yes, major work has to be done by me, but mentors will definitely guide you in case there are some problems that I'll be facing, or anyone who is facing in the open source community.
Right. Talking about the proposal thing, let's say you choose the project. So like, what are this proposal thing, and how one should make a proposal? Like, every organization has might have their own template to create a proposal. So like, can you please share your proposal, and like, what are some best practices to create a proposal?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Right.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Visible.
Okay. So actually, this is actually the Gnome's page, where they have for the GSOC, where they actually have explained everything, that how can you apply for it. You can just make a small contribution. You can decide on the project, fill out the application. So this is just for the newcomers. They also have a tutorial for newcomers. So every organization, they have sort of a page where you can understand like what are their project ideas, what which channels to join, how to fill in, and they also have a template, like like what are the questions. Every organization gives you a basic sort of questions. Like it's not a template, but like they give you a questions, like these are questions you can include in your proposal. So same like every organization does that. So same Gnome also did that. So I'll just show my proposal. So this is the proposal. As I'm a designer, so my proposal has
Right.
thoda aesthetic
Right.
vibe as well.
I can see it now. Like, you use different colors, and yes.
Yeah, but keeping minimal, not too vibrant. Uh, yeah, so this was the like I created an index page. Like usually, if you see, then I guess they have a template here. I'll just show the template, and also they have a list of questions. Uh, Hmm. So here you can see the list of questions. Like they have mentioned what city, country you reside in, and all. So here, how I have not put the questions, exact questions in my proposal. I have sort of created like included, like suppose it's a personal information, then it is covering 2 3 questions in that one. It's not like the exactly how these questions are there. I have created in a different way, but it definitely includes whatever questions they have asked me. So yeah, one can create their proposal like this way as well. So it's totally up to you. Just it should include all the information, I would say. So this is an about me section. It tells, yeah, everyone can add an about me section, like what about what you're currently doing, what are your beliefs, and what you want to do in the open source community. What are you currently doing in the open source community? What is the your motivation for this project? Here I have explained everything, that what is my current motivation. I started my contribution since 1 year back, so what all I have done and all. These are the merge requests and the issues that I have worked on. Yeah, so I have showed, so that it is so this is not just reviewed by your mentors, right? It is reviewed by other developers as well in the community. So it is very important that we keep it simple and easily, that they can understand, they can navigate. You have all links to each and every issues are that, so that they can have a they can understand what all issues I've worked on, how much I've worked on, and everything. So this is the time commitment. Everyone has to sort of give a time commitment, that how much they can contribute to a project. So then this is the goal of the project. So here I can explain you, like what exactly we are solving. So this is actually a example which I have given. This is a list example. So Gnome has many websites. Like I'll show you, this is the main website. This is shell extension. These are lists. Now you can see there's so much of inconsistency in all of them, right? In the design aspect, these all are a list. So this was the one of the issue I just explained with an example, that what is the existing issue and how we can solve. So this was like 3 steps which I'm following, like doing the evaluation of the existing issue, then designing the new mockups, like how they will look, following also the HIG guidelines, that is human interface guidelines, that are given by Gnome. So following those guidelines, and also communicating with the design team to review the designs, whether I am actually including all the aspects of design or not. So yeah, and then the testing phase comes. So this is my proposed work. So these are the elements and the components I'll be working on. These are the total websites, and the more websites are always added to the Gnome websites, because they have a lot of operations that they work on. So I've also included the benefits to the community, and this is a project timeline which is like really important to include in your project proposal. So I actually have shown the dedicated thing, like from when I'm gonna start, the start date, what is my end date, what I'm gonna do, which issue I'm gonna work on. So here you can see we are currently on the community bonding page. Then we'll have the coding period phase 1. These obviously might change, but these are the tentative deadlines which I have created and shared. Uh, yeah, so these are for all the elements and the components. So this is the coding phase 1, and then we have the coding phase 2.
That was a detailed,
And
like
the
detailed.
conclusion, and what are will be my deliverables for the project. Yeah.
Like the proposal was totally like taking all the aspects of things. Like for
Sorry.
me, I created only eight page proposal, and that was also normal. But your one is very creative, and it's like it connects with your designing thing. So yes, it is
Yeah.
important to create a creative proposal.
Hmm. So you really don't need to create a long proposals, but make sure
Right.
that you include adequate amount of information for the
Right.
developers and non-developers, for everyone to understand. What is your motive, how you're gonna work, and everything. So
Right.
yeah, this was my proposal. Yeah.
Right.
So I would also like to share a few of these are the GNOME human interface guidelines that we are supposed to follow for designing this website. Also, I would like to share some of the resources that I have. This actually is created by one of my friend, where he has listed down all the how one can, who is new into open source, they can start with their Git and GitHub by doing some crash course. It's just a 30-minute video which you need to learn, and you can just start with your first contribution. What are first timers, only if good first issue. This all is explained here. Yeah, so this is a good article which one can definitely go through. I can definitely share this. And obviously, there's not just GSOC, there are other organizations as well, such as Outreach Season of Docs. So even if the people who didn't get selected for GSOC, it's okay. You can apply to different organization. At the end, it is important that we contribute to the open source, and it should not be confined to just the organizations. You can just make open source contribution whenever you get time. So yeah, this is one more which I found, where you can actually, based on your whether in which technology you want to work in, suppose Python, JavaScript, C++, and the topics you want to work in, based on, you can just select these things, and you'll get the list of organizations who has those projects. uh, so this was one tool. I can definitely share the link of this. So yeah, that's all.
Right. To the viewers, I want to tell them that whatever they are looking at the podcast, these are the things which Pooja has done, and like you all need to work hard. It's not that Pooja can share all of her experience, but like getting selected into GSOC is not a easy thing. We need everyone need to work hard. Whatever she is sharing is about the like what we can see the front end thing, but the back end process no one knows about it because that takes a lot of time, lot of investigation, and lot of dedication and consistency to work on an organization. So yes, it is important to work hard, and not just talking about these resources. These resources are useful, but with every new issue, you can like never have a course for an open source organization, but you can have courses for skills. So first you need to develop those skills, and then you need to investigate learning, seeing the documentation, and watching taking help from Stack Overflow and these technical forums, right? So uh, let me ask you a quite important question. That, as we all know, there are very fewer women in tech and involved in technology comparing with men. So, like, what are the obstacles did you face working in this technology thing? Like, not talking about particularly GSOC, but everything related to GSOC, everything related to technical thing. Like, talking about my college, we only have 11 girls in our class in this CSC department, and in those 11 girls, I don't believe they know about the opportunities and things which are in the CSC department. What is a general mindset that we have to like focus on our college studies, and then we have to graduate and take internship from on campus internship, and that is a good thing. But like in talking about this computer science thing, we have a lot of opportunities comparing with different branch. So like, what are your take on that?
uh, yeah, I feel the ratio is less in computers. In particular, in engineering, only the ratio is less. But that's okay. I mean, nonetheless, that's okay. I mean, I feel one should be, irrespective of girl or boy, you should be interested in what you're doing and be passionate about it. That will really help you to achieve a lot. And obviously, academics is to some extent important, but skills are much more important. To to actually not just help this open source communities, but also learn, like, skills will actually help you to crack something, an interview, or for placements or anything else. So skills are more important. Your degree or your pointers are, they're just important for a shorter period of time, maybe for your first job or something. But in a long run, skills are something that will really help you to further contribute to any of the organizations or even placements, if we talk about, or even in a working in a company. Skills are very important, I would say.
Yes. So children generally get confused between this internship and mentorship thing. So talking about open source and internship, like what is as now you are a graduate, so you can answer it well about what difference you find between internship and mentorship program, like this open source thing.
Right. So one biggest difference, I would say, that internships have a particular deadline, whereas open source do not have a deadline. Uh, Everyone can just contribute to open source whenever they are free. Well, in internship, you are working on a project for a dedicated period of time. It is a company which is, continuously upgrading its features, and which needs to be designed and developed and be in the market. So yeah, open source doesn't work like that. You can work on a project for like a year or two. But GSOC, if we think about that, only GSOC is different. Like GSOC has a particular deadline. Then open source usually does not have, but GSOC gives you a particular deadline. That's the only difference in GSOC and in, I would say, and in open source. And an internship is also like that, where obviously you get paid as well in an internship. Uh, in open source, it's not, but it's more of like you're learning and giving back to the community in a way. Yeah, it teaches you discipline, I guess, somewhere, and keeps you even you can be consistent with your work in a job. Open source actually teaches you a lot of patience, I would say, because the whole GSOC journey is very long. Even before you get selected, I mean, it's a long process where you are communicating with the mentors, where you're making your small contributions. If there are some problems, you again communicate. So some things don't work, you get frustrated. So it's a long process. It teaches you a lot of patience, like how you should go about it. Like, people really want quick results, but that's not how this works. You need to consistently put efforts in this to get selected, particularly in GSOC program, not for the open source thing.
Right. And talking about first, second, or third year students, what generally happens in internship that sometimes talking about this, uh, talking about my college, we have 75% attendance, which is minimum in our college. So if I'm contributing to open source, I can get that exposure while being in the college too. But talking about internship, I have to maybe if it is not in my city, then I have to go to another city, and I might miss my classes. But open source is something which I can do it in night, and in the morning I can attend my college. So there is
Yeah,
no time barrier of timing. We can do it anytime, wherever we want. Not talking about the GSOC thing, but about this open source thing.
yeah.
So
It gives
one
you a
should
sort of a flexibility. Yes.
flexibility, yes. So talking about you told it, you already graduated. So after this GSOC thing, what are your future plans? Like, what are you thinking to are you thinking to step into designing career, or what are your plans for the future?
Yes, I mean, I would like to continue my further journey into design only, as well as front end development, but design I'm more inclined towards. So, yes, further contributions would be just like, guiding the juniors, becoming a mentor, and just guiding the juniors as well as newcomers, like this podcast, helping them to contribute in the open source community. And yeah, how more designers can start contributing, because I feel these organizations are in a need of designers. Designers are really not aware about that they can contribute, and I feel this podcast or can help them understand that they can as well contribute. So yeah, my goal will be that, to give back to the community, learn more skills, and grow.
I believe that Google should also introduce a new program, like just for coding thing GSOC, for documentation thing GSOC, and for designing 1 minute program, so that it helps students to like differentiate what they really
Yeah.
need to do. But
Right.
like
Right.
talking about this CSOP thing, students often get confused that is it coding or development or like documentation thing, because
Right.
as a beginner even I used to think like that what are these documentation issues, that they don't really matter. But with time I understood that how why documentation is more important, because that helps you to like understand the actual thing in the organization, right?
Right. Right.
So let's take some questions from the comment section. So Kamal is asking that what is GNOME all about? Like what does it do? Maybe.
Okay, so Gnome is actually there are two entities of Gnome actually. One is Gnome Foundation. Gnome Foundation basically manages and supports projects. Matlab, it's like an umbrella where it supports and manages all these projects under it. So one is that is the Gnome Foundation, where Gnome it is another which is Gnome, which is basically it is a I would say it is a in a layman terms I would say it is a graphical user interface which is basically helping the non-developers to easily access the Linux operating system. So it works on top of the Linux operating system. It is so it is a GUI which easily people can understand. So GNOME is basically doing that. Creating it's a desktop application. So yeah, that is what GNOME is all about.
Right. Uh, Amok Desai is asking that how should one approach the mentors?
Okay, so approaching the mentors, like I said, that one can approach the mentors by joining any of the community channels that are there for that particular organization, or they can also, if they are not comfortable, they can also somewhere. Send them a personal message or contact them through LinkedIn or anything like that. But one should approach the mentor. I feel after you have sort of understood the project, like what the basics about the project, what is the tech stack that is supposed to be used, and whether you're interested in that project or not, like how much you're inclined towards your that. And afterwards then you can sort of introduce and approach to the mentor that yes, I want to work on this project, and maybe they will further guide you that how you can further contribute to it. So yeah, this is one way we can approach to the mentors.
Right. And also, Amog, if you want to learn more, you can like go back with this podcast. Uh, Pooja shared some of her best practices to like approach mentors. So yes. So Gaurav is igniting the podcast, and Achit is asking that what are some mistakes that contributor make and should avoid.
Like I mentioned, like some of the mistakes that contributors do is that they just without communicating, they just create issues, or they do not communicate before they make a decision or something like that. So that is something that they should avoid, and communication is the key, I feel. Before you go ahead, you should not do any changes that will actually create some problems in the code base. So yeah, those are some of the small mistakes that they should avoid, and obviously one should also have a proper concrete research before they are sort of contributing or approaching the mentors as well. So yeah, I would say that.
Right. Vishwa Doshi is asking that she's a third year computer science student and a certified CUA from HFI, and she joined the podcast little late. And uh, she's asking that how she can contribute to open source, being a user experience designer.
Okay, so I'll quickly just explain how you can. Uh, so basically, I started with my open source journey with GSOC or GSOC only. So it was, I feel, the website is really good where you can actually find the organizations you want to work in. So what I did, I'll tell you my approach. So there are other websites as well. If you search on net, you will find out some of the organizations who work on user experience and UI design. But just if you want to know about GSOC, then I'll tell you that you just have to, in their search, you just have to search for design or such keywords, user experience or such keywords. So after you search, you will find those organizations who are working. They have, that means if you see the organization over there, then you will, they have some projects. Those are user experience based. But if you're just talking about GSOC, then they won't be completely design oriented. They will be little technical oriented as well. So, but yes, you can join their design community. They have a design community, and you can learn from them. So these are the basic things that you just need to search your organization, and then you can see their projects list. So there they might have mentioned that what they want to work on, whether they want to work on the UI, whether they want to work on graphics. So after that, you can approach the mentors, whoever the mentors are for that organization, and you can tell them, you can explain them that, I want to make some contributions in the user experience design, and how can I get started with it. So that is how you can start contributing to the UX design in the open source community.
Right. And talking about the certification, does the certification really level up your chances of getting selected? Like she mentioned that she's a certified CUA from HFI. Like,
Mhm.
does this thing like level up your chances to get selected in the Google Summer of Code other than contribution?
Well, no, I don't think so. That really plays a part in open source. Your contributions and but this certification definitely means that you have knowledge about it, and you will be able to better contribute in the organization. So no, this will not help you to get in, but definitely those skills will help you to understand better the project and do a good contribution.
Right. So,
I
uh,
hope that answers the
yes.
question.
Right. So I'm always saying thank you. So I believe there are no more questions. Let's wait for 30 more seconds so that if
Okay.
anyone have a question. Right. So like, what will you say to those people who didn't got selected to Google Summer of Code this year?
I would say don't lose hope. You can apply next year definitely. Now, though, I guess GSOC 2022, they have just announced that not just people who are in their college or any university can contribute, but anyone can participate in Google Summer of Code. So even if you didn't get selected this year, it's all right. I mean, it is not just confined to GSOC or any other organizations. You can keep on contributing by just continuously consistently contributing. Increase your chances. You are basically increasing your chances for getting selected next year. So it's okay. I mean, it happens with a lots of people, because I guess every even organization cannot help it, because they also get limited slots to select all the projects and the students in that who are contributing. So yeah, I mean, you can just try next year. Just understand maybe the priority of the project, and maybe understand that for talk with the mentors whether what are the chances of this project maybe getting selected, or uh, what is the priority of this project. Some project, they have many projects, like Gnome had 19 projects this year, but only 9 of them got selected. So yeah, so it's like some projects have a higher priority. We just got 9 slots, so like obviously all projects cannot be there, right? So some projects need to be done right now, some maybe we can shift and do it on the next year, right? So that happens. But irrespective of that, you should continue with your open source journey, I would say,
Right.
and
So
apply to
yes.
other organizations.
So it seemed like that pretty much sum up our podcast. And thanks a lot, Pooja, for joining. And I'm grateful, and that was a pleasure speaking with you this evening. And I hopefully will see you again on our channel sooner or later for more UI UX design discussion. And also in the description, you can like connect with Pooja on her LinkedIn or check out her GitLab account, and you can like ask further questions, but please don't ping her because she's very busy with her GSOC thing right now. So yes, you
No,
can
no,
like.
that's okay.
So is there anything you would like to say in closing, Pooja?
um, Not in particular, but yeah, just know what just do whatever you guys are interested in it. not just whatever skills you have, whatever projects you're interested in it. It should not be about the organization, that this is a huge organization, I want to contribute in this. It should be more about like, yeah, you are interested in this, you know this language, you're interested in this project, and that is why I want to contribute to this organization. And that is how one should approach. And just, yeah, keep contributing, give back to the community whatever you have learned. That would be it. Yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you for organizing this wonderful podcast. I guess this is the 11th day, and you guys are doing an amazing job.
Right, thank you. So thank you everyone for joining. Keep tuned, and we will see you in the next podcast. Bye.
Bye bye.